Uncharted is a story about men hunting treasure for one reason, and one reason alone: ego. At the very end of Uncharted 4, this curse that lays upon the series is finally broken. By Nadine Ross, my favorite character in Uncharted. All of Uncharted. She disrupts the treasure hunting fantasy by refusing the central premise: we don't need to get the treasure. From the very first game, Uncharted doesn't bother explaining why you're somewhere in the jungle fighting mercenaries. There is a treasure, Nate needs to get the treasure before the bad guys do. And before the tutorial is properly done, something monumental happens. The inciting moment, so to speak. In the first game, Sully gets shot. In the second, Flynn betrays us. In the third, well, it takes a bit longer than usual, but first Sully gets kidnapped and then shot. And once you're properly invested in the personal narrative, the actual treasure is almost completely ignored. Right up to the moment the real big revelation takes place. It's not just an ordinary treasure, this one has magical properties and, in the wrong hands, could end the world. I will refrain from commenting on whether Nate's hands are the right ones. What's important here isn't actually who gets to have the treasure. Uncharted successfully roped us into a treasure hunting adventure, which turned into a personal vendetta, and then made Nate into some world-saving action hero running towards safety on a collapsing bridge. Treasure isn't an important part of Uncharted, but safety concerns regarding bridges sure are. The first two games are honestly just the same story told in two fonts. This is not meant as critique, by the way. The story is what it is, and it's not hiding that fact. Am I Nate's biggest fan? Hell nah. But what the game wants to do, it does really well. Uncharted started being more enjoyable for me once it actually interrogated its own central premise. Why is Nate doing all of this? What is the point? The first time someone actually asks this question is in Uncharted 3. After Tucker gets injured and can't continue with the treasure hunt anymore, he and Chloe tap out of the mission. Nate and Sully continue on, and as chance will have it, Elena is currently in the same part of the world and willing to help man. Together they find the approximate location of the Atlantis of the Sands, a mythical hidden city in the middle of the desert. Since the chamber where the information was hidden is currently being overrun by ancient murder spiders, Sully, Nate and Elena are the only living people to have that knowledge. When Elena asks Nathan why he wants to keep going despite the dangers and their friends getting hurt, Nate doesn't have an answer for her.
What is wrong with you two?
Elena, come on, we're just joking around.
Listen. You've won, okay? You've outsmarted her. You know where to find the city, and Marlowe doesn't. Why can't that be enough?
Yeah, why can't it be? Currently, everyone is alive and well, they know something the enemy doesn't, and they could simply take this win and let it be. But of course it's not that easy. Nate gets drugged, Sully gets kidnapped, and later shot. The bad guys are about to unleash some hallucinogenic genie juice onto the world and, oh well, better save the day. Naughty Dog not committing to the uncomfortable version of this story is something that wouldn't be possible today. The studio's aim is maximum emotional damage after all. But back in the day, an action hero being reduced to a self-centered man led by ego was too risky. But that's what Uncharted is at its core, isn't it? It's a story about men hunting treasure out of ego. Nate, Sully, Tucker, Sam, and obviously Rafe as a stand-in for all the villains of the series. Yes, even Tucker. He only opts out because he is literally physically incapable to keep going. But if he had broken an arm instead of a leg, he'd be the first one to jump out of that plane. Uncharted isn't a story about treasure hunting at all, it's a story about male obsession. The treasure, the end of the world, the personal stakes, these are all crutches to put Nathan where he's supposed to be, in some godforsaken jungle fighting mercenaries. The fourth game finally addresses that. For once, Nate's incentive isn't treasure hunting, and the faceless mercenaries have an actual narrative role to play outside of being cannon fodder. There is no looming doomsday scenario, but a ploy from an insidious brother who ropes him back into the jungle behind Elena's back. In part 4, Nate isn't an idiot who becomes the hero of the day, he's an idiot who lies to his wife and falls for a fickle lie by doing what he always does, getting lost in the thrill of the hunt. What starts as an adventure to save Sam gets twisted into a tale of Sam and Rafe too obsessed with treasure to see reason and pulling Nate down into the vortex with them. For the first time, the game itself questions its narrative. Elena confronts Nate about his lies. Nadine won't risk her and her men's lives for Rafe's obsession. Nate himself tells his brother to leave the treasure be. Uncharted 4 is a game about the greed of men wanting to make a name for themselves, and for once, it isn't scared to make that point uncomfortably clear to the player. While the first 3 games ultimately just went along with the idea of we need to get the treasure, the 4th is finally asking the important question: is it worth it? For Nadine, the answer is a clear no. She doesn't fit into the narrative framing around obsession. Nadine is the counterweight. While the boys are obsessed with getting their hands on pirate gold, Nadine is merely a mercenary. She is hired muscle. She doesn't have any personal attachment to the feud between Rafe, Sam and Nate. She just wants to get paid. Throughout the game, whenever we encounter Nadine, that is precisely the role she has. Beat up Nathan or support Rafe by handling guards and logistics. She isn't passionate about this adventure. Heck, it isn't an adventure for her, it's a job. When Nadine gets almost shot by Sam, this detachment flips into awareness for how dangerous the situation and Rafe are.
Oh, don't worry about him, Nadine. These guys don't kill anyone in cold blood. It's just not their style.
I warned you.
Do it! Don't worry, Nadine. It's not their style.
In that moment, Nadine decides that all the money in the world isn't worth it. Nate has been killing her man left and right. Rafe is losing his mind and Sam was ready to kill her just now. She suddenly understands how volatile the situation really is. What used to be a job for a rich kid has rapidly turned into babysitting a psychopath. But she still has to continue, because 1, she's a professional, and 2, she can't risk not getting paid for this job. And it almost works out perfectly for her. They find the treasure, they got millions in gold, and they are ready to leave. But then Sam steals a boat and boards the pirate ship, and Rafe decides that this is the moment he finally gets to have a real tantrum because he will not share the glory that comes from finding the ship and its treasure.
If he can walk away from that ship alive, he can have it. Hell, I'd say he's earned it. God knows you didn't.
May I interrupt the session for just one moment? The audacity of him slapping Nadine. I was so ready to end the guy right then and there. You do not lay your hands on that beautiful, terrifying woman.
Now look, we can stand here and insult each other all day, or we can finish what it is that we've done.
Oh, we're finishing it all right.
Yes! Back to the analysis now. So Rafe forces Nadine to go after Sam with him. But that doesn't really go the way he wants it to.
High time you learn. What are you doing?
Now you give me your gun.
Nadine?
I won't ask you again. Everyone obsessed with this treasure gets what they deserve.
So what, you're just leaving us here to die?
Oh, I'm just leaving. Whether you die or not, I don't really care.
Nadine? Wait.
So long, Rafe.
Nadine! Nadine!
This scene is, in my humble opinion, the absolute peak of all of Uncharted. After flinching away from the implications of Nate going treasure hunting despite the dangers for him and his loved ones, after Elena seemingly left Nate over this exact need for recognition again and again, Nadine finally names the thing that was in the room with us all along. Everyone obsessed with this treasure gets what they deserve. And then she leaves. She walks away because there's no reason for her to stay here. She's got millions in gold already, the majority of her men are dead, Rafe isn't a problem anymore. Why would she stay? For the treasure? Hell no.
Nadine, if you cut and run right now, the loss of all your men, everything that we've done, is for nothing.
We have millions in gold right here. I'd say that plus our lives is something.
That, good sir, is called a sunken cost fallacy, and your girl is too smart to fall for it. Nadine walking away and calling out the boy's obsession is what I have been waiting for the entire series. I'm just leaving. Simple as that. I looked at this equation and I don't need to be good at math to figure out that it equals death. She isn't a treasure hunter and she never was. She is, to be completely honest, the only person in the whole series who never was a treasure hunter at all. Elena blurs the line and Chloe is in it for the treasure, but Nadine is here because it's a job, and because it's a job she gets to walk away when the math isn't mathing. As the player, I was firmly stuck in place. I could do nothing but try and drown Nathan. I just had to hope someone was going to be smart at some point. I didn't really consider that someone could be Nadine, but you know what? That made it even better. Because she's the woman in a boys will be boys treasure hunting adventure, being allowed enough agency to make a meaningful decision that ends up shaping the narrative in a major way. And all that without being the love interest or made to look weak and stupid. And yes, it is sad that they need to explicitly say that. Nadine finally disrupts the false dichotomy the whole series scapegoats off of. It's not a choice between the lost lives mean nothing and get all of the treasure. There is a middle ground. We have millions worth of treasure. I'd say that plus our lives is something. She isn't led by ego but by logic. It shows how mature the story has become over the last years and that it's also ready to be questioned. One of the most interesting and bravest things a story can do is look at itself and ask, what does it mean for these people to make these decisions? Because the takeaway from 3 Uncharted games is, Nathan has such a deep-rooted need for recognition that he willingly risks the well-being of his friends. This was never about treasure, it was about ego, but Uncharted 4 manages to turn that around. Yes, it's a story about male greed and obsession, but it's also about breaking the cycle. And they did that by making a woman the most mature person in the room. Naughty Dog allowed a female antagonist to have enough personality to actually make a decision in line with her values, and then they gave her agency without narratively punishing her for it. In a world where the greed of men wanting to make a name for themselves is everything, Nadine, of all people, opting out means the world. Until then, I am Bika, and we did a lot of things today.